Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. Now, a few days I had a new watch arrive. Normally I stick it in front of the camera fairly quickly to give you first impressions or my first impressions of that watch, but it's taken me a couple of days to try and resolve a couple of the QC issues that have occurred with it. It's a little bit disappointing, however, it doesn't take away from how great this watch is. So today I'm going to be showing you my Submariner homage, the Cronos L6005. For me, I picked this particular watch because it ticked a couple of the boxes that I was looking for. I was really looking for a Rolex Submariner homage, and there's so many of them out there, it was a little bit hard to choose. But I also knew I wanted to try the watches from Cronos, and I've also wanted to try this new PT5000 movement. Well, it's not a brand new movement, it's just not a movement that I've had in my collection. As I said, there's been a couple of issues with it. Now, I'm not going to go through the few issues that I've had with this watch since it arrived. I'm currently talking to Cronos about them, and when I do the full review on this video, I assume that will be resolved, and I'll be able to include that in the full review of this watch. So let's flip the camera around and let's have a look at this Cronos homage. This is my first Cronos watch. It is the L6005 with the PT5000 movement. I was quite excited to get this watch. I was quite interested in a number of features of it. As I mentioned, there's been a couple of QC issues with it. I won't go into too much detail. I'll talk to you about that in the full review. It comes in this standard case that we're getting with a lot of watches nowadays. I'm very happy with these cases. They're nice and sturdy. You're certainly going to get a nice, happy watch inside that shouldn't come with too many issues. We get a Cronos International Guarantee. It's actually signed, so that's really good to see. It comes with this absolutely amazing tool. It has some really nice weight to it. It's signed by Cronos. Fantastic. I'm so impressed by that. It's better than any of the spring bar removal tools that I already have in my collection, so I'm now going to use this a lot. Also comes with a screwdriver and my new Cronos watch with some extra screw links as well. Now, you may notice that I've got 3 spare links. Normally most watches that I have, and when I resize them, I end up with 4 spared links. That is one of the issues with this. I couldn't actually get out an extra one. Those screw links were way too tight. So I've only been able to take out 3, and I've actually used the adjustment on this to get a correct fit. So my first Cronos, my first Submariner homage, my first watch with a PT5000 movement. What are my first impressions? What do I think about the look and feel of this watch? Well, I have actually worn a Submariner before. It was only for a few minutes when I met somebody that owned one, got to try it on, and I had a tiny bit of a feel of that watch and what it looked like on my wrist. And this one does a pretty good representation of that watch. I feel that it has a little bit more weight to it. The Rolex was fairly light. I remember thinking that it was lighter than I expected, but you're not really expecting too many surprises from this watch. It does have some very well-known dimensions and specifications. I do have to say though that it is finished very nicely. That black dial is lovely and black. The bezel looks and feels nice. It is fairly low resistance, but it does have a really nice click. Definitely no backplay, no other sort of movement. The magnifier is certainly set in the right spot. I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy that it's in the right place. I think that that triangle at the 12 is slightly to the right, but on such a small scale that it's really not noticeable. The overall finishing of the case is really pretty. It's very nice. The look of that bracelet is amazing. I'm really impressed by it. I'm quite happy with it. You see that it has a sterile case back, but it does have polishing around here, and it has a vertical brushing across the back end of it, and that's quite a nice finish to it. Gives it a little bit of character, and there is a signed crown as well, and I think that Cronos logo looks quite good on the crown. You'll see they've also homaged the glide lock clasp, which means it has a safety. It has like a spring which opens up, and it has a glide style micro adjustment. And here it is on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. It actually feels quite nice on wrist. I think it fits quite well However, I've had to use those micro adjusts more than I would normally because I was unable to get one of the links out here, so that clasp does sit a little bit far over to this side of my wrist. But I'm actually okay with it. It doesn't really upset me, or it doesn't really interfere with the overall enjoyment of the watch so far. So, I'm going to be interested to have this on wrist for a while. As I said, there's been a few QC issues. I'm quite interested to see what comes back from Cronos whilst I speak to him, and I'm going to include all of that in the full review of this watch. So stay tuned for that, and I hope to see you in another one of my videos.